Hi guys, this is gsndon.com and I'm here with the Sony Xperia E4g. After reviewing the Sony Xperia E4, it's time to have a look at the upgraded version of that phone. So this is basically the LTE version of the E4 with a few upgrades, and this product was actually announced just a few days after the E4 and launched in stores in April 2015. So it's a fresh device. The price tag in Europe is 129 euros, and this is more of an upgrade compared to the E4 than you'd expect. It's still a low-end Xperia phone with a budget price and some pretty good specs. As far as the design goes, we got a plastic case with a soft touch back with a nice texture, and it doesn't feel as cheap as the plasticky back of the E4. The grip is quite good, and one-hand usage has improved on this model, especially because it's less narrow and the diagonal has decreased. The E4 had a 5-inch screen, and now we have a 4.7-inch display on this model. The thickness has increased. The E4g measures 10.8mm in thickness, while the E4 measured 10.5. This model weighs 135 grams, the predecessor 144 grams, so it's lighter and thicker. It's also 3mm narrower, so that's a good thing. We got a wraparound case here, just like the E4 and just like the Nokia Lumia 520, for example. So wraparound case means that it also covers the edges, not just the back. The battery is not removable, and here you can see the micro SD and SIM card slots on the side. The build is quite solid, and having a glance at the sides, at the front we can see the front camera, the earpiece, notification LED in this area here, sensors obviously. The side buttons, trademark on-off button and volume buttons, are pretty comfy, while at the back we find the main camera, flash and microphone, plus the speaker right here looking pretty big. The micro USB is on the side, and the case is rounded in the corners, as you can see right here. We've also got a lanyard port here. This is not a waterproof phone, in case you're wondering, and this is quite an evolution from the E4. It looks better and it's more comfy. That's the conclusion in the design area. Now, as far as the hardware is concerned, the E4g brings a quad-core Cortex A53 processor clocked at 1.5 GHz. It's the MediaTek MT6752 according to CPU-Z. According to the Sony official website, is the MediaTek MT6732. The GPU, well, it's a Mali T760 that actually performs better in games than the one of the E4. The processor we mentioned before dates from 2014, while the Xperia E4 had a processor from 2013, so that's an upgrade. It's quite a big jump, especially in the graphics area, the GPU area. Other specs offered here, well, include 8 GB of storage, of which we get 4.7 GB free, microSD card slot, 1 GB of RAM, and now it's time to have a glance at the benchmarks. We're going to start off with Quadrant, in which we scored a pretty impressive 10,250 points. The Xperia E4 had only 8,445, as you can see here, and we even managed to beat the Carbon Titanium S6 and Ligu Lead 1, being also pretty close to the Huawei Honor 6 and HTC One M7. Next up we got Antutu, and in Antutu we had a score of 32,753 points. We even managed to beat the Samsung Galaxy A5, HTC One M7, HTC Desire 820, and even the BlackBerry Passport that has 3 GB of RAM, while the E4 had 18k points, so a very impressive score in Antutu. We also did a 3D Mark test, iStorm Extreme, 5,030 points, while the E4 had 2,037. We beat the Galaxy A5 again and Carbon Sparkle V for yet another impressive result. Okay, now it's time to have a look at Geekbench 3. In the single core test we had 726 points, in the multi-core test a very impressive 2167. The predecessor had 351 over 1174, and we managed to beat again the HTC One M7 and Samsung Galaxy A5. All those results are impressive, and this model has less lag than the Sony Xperia E4. That one itself didn't have much lag, it only started applications a bit slower than you'd expect even for a lower end device. This one starts applications a bit faster. And obviously you can run games, quite new games considering the CPU and GPU. For example, we ran Riptide GP2 a racing game with 3D graphics quite well with no lag, and after 15 minutes of playing it, the temperature got to 33.3 degrees Celsius, so there is no overheating here, which is good news. On the battery front, we're getting a lithium-ion 2300 mAh unit, the same capacity as the Xperia E4. On paper we are promised 64 hours of music, the E4 was promised 48 hours of music. In our usual test involving HD video loop with Wi-Fi on and brightness of 50%, we achieved 8 hours and 40 minutes of playback time, which is very impressive. The E4 gave us 7 hours and 30 minutes, and if you really want a comparison here, we even managed to beat the likes of the Galaxy Note 4 and Amazon Fire Phone with this huge time we mentioned before. The charging, well, that takes a bit longer, 3 hours and 34 minutes, which is about 10 minutes less than the E4, so a bit of an evolution. In the settings area, you can add even more juice to your battery through some power saving features. They're called stamina modes. So the first stamina mode will be able to set the Wi-Fi and data off when the screen is off. You can restrict performance if you want to. And then there's the ultra stamina mode that you can see here, and offers up to a week of use by totally deactivating useless features and keeping the main ones. Sony promised to deliver a 2-day battery for this phone, and I have to say they delivered a great experience. As far as the acoustics go, we got a great Walkman player here with its nice user interface and its special options and settings like Clear Audio Plus, sound enhancements that includes these 5 customizable channels, surround sound, clear stereo, clear phase, and X Loud that actually work when being used. Now let's get to the actual listening experience. Okay, so you get the idea. What we're dealing with here is a pretty loud and clear experience with an okay bass. There's no more muffling if you put the phone on a flat surface like this. The Xperia E4 suffer from muffling, this one doesn't. We got a cool visualizer as you just saw, and you probably heard that there's a bit of a distortion at the maximum volume. We also get a pair of headphones bundled with this device. It's not a pair of premium headphones. The wire tends to tangle. We got a big remote here, and these headphones are not very comfy in your ear, but their sound is very good. It's very loud. We got a good bass and a loud and clear experience. You can obviously connect the headphones to the device and achieved FM radio connectivity. We also did a decibel meter test to test how strong is the speaker at the back, and this is what came out. At the front of the device we achieved 86 decibels, while at the back 86.5 decibels, and once again no muffling. Meanwhile, the Sony Xperia E4 had 80.9 decibels, and for example the HTC One M9 86.9 decibels, so just look here how close we are to that, pretty impressive. We beat the iPhone 6 Plus that had 83.8 decibels. Very good acoustics for this low-end device, and once again we have FM radio with RDS. Now as far as the screen goes, this is a 4.7 incher. It's an IPS LCD with a resolution of 960 over 540 pixels. The E4 had a 5-inch panel with the same resolution. This screen is less bad in the sunlight, it has better contrast, and we got RGB stripe pixels. Now it's time to view a video and see how the screen does in this screen test. Okay, so the image is crisp, it's pretty bright, we got realistic colors, there is no oversaturation, RGB stripe pixels, and quite wide viewing angles. If you look at the review of the Xperia E4, it's clear there has been an upgrade here. And as far as the brightness is concerned, we used the lux meter and achieved an impressive 424 lux units. The Xperia E4 had only 217 lux, so that's quite a jump. Meanwhile, we beat the OnePlus One and it's 404 lux. We beat the HTC One M9 and it's 362 lux, so once again very impressive. A great screen, and you can even play with some options related to this screen. You can adjust the brightness, the white balance, including some RGB features, screen rotation, and smart backlight control that will keep the screen on once you're looking at it. So overall, a very good display. Now we get to the cameras. 2 megapixel selfie shooter and 5 megapixel main camera with LED flash, HDR, digital stabilization and 4x zoom. As usual for an Xperia phone, we got a ton of options to play with. You know them from any other Xperia device that we've reviewed over the past year. We got auto, that's ready to adapt to dozens of scenes. Be careful what you press because some of the options may be a bit more complex. Okay, so auto scene recognition is able to recognize, if I'm not mistaken, around 50 situations for the camera. We got a manual mode with a ton of settings. You can see them here. We can see a lot of scenes and a lot of options, including HDR and image stabilization. And we also have sound photo, augmented reality features, and more to download if we want to. A thing worth mentioning here, I complained in the review of the E4 that the zoom was not fluid. Well, this time it's a bit more fluid, the zoom, so that's good news. Okay, we leave aside the interface, we get to the actual picture taking. We have selected a few samples for you to view, the ones that we consider the best photo samples. Okay, so we got the picture number one. Picture number one is a landscape shot with the trees being a little bit blurry. And we wanted to show you some detail loss here. However, the colors are realistic, the lighting is okay, and this is a better shot compared to the Xperia E4. I also have to mention that in the review of the Sony Xperia E4, we found that 15% to 20% of the shots were being moved by impatient focusing. This time only about 10% or even less, so the focusing is better. Next up we get to a macro shot, and it's a macro shot of a flower, a similar one to the one captured with the E4, and it looks great. We got incredible details. I've seen great cameras before, great low-end cameras on carbon phones, on Lumia phones, but this 5 megapixel shooter produced a great macro this time. Good colors, blurred background and excellent quality of the foreground, so pretty much perfect macro for a low-end phone. We obviously had a glance at the panorama. Even though the sunlight was in front of us, it came out pretty nicely. The resolution 4912 over 1080, great colors, a bit curved, great details, and there's no problem with the sun being ahead. It's a bit better than the E4 panorama. Then we felt the need to test the shutter by taking shots of a fountain close up, and you can see the small water bubbles in the air, which means we have a great shutter. And I mean great shutter speed by this. You can catch water drops, and we caught some shots of a spinning globe, the same one we caught with the E4, and in the meantime we managed to catch it perfectly, while the E4 had it blurry because it simply moved. And the details are great. You can see the water sprinkles here, and the texture is quite nice. Okay, finally we have one more flower shot. This is to show you the realistic colors, nice texture, good details, and a crisp image. Also good exposure. Even though it was a sunny day, the flowers are not burned like I've seen on some mid-range phones from HTC. So this is a very good camera for a 5 megapixel shooter, and I frankly have no complaints about the pictures. Now, as far as the videos go, we filmed in MP4, Full HD, 30 frames per second, 17 megabits per second bitrate. Stabilization was poor, as you can see in sample number 1. So this is sample number 1, video sample number 1. An okay exposure, good colors and pretty good acoustics, but a bit of a motion blur happening here. I like the details, but I don't like the stabilization and the motion blur. The quality is okay, but maybe not full HD okay in my view. The second video, Well, this second video involves a fountain and water, sprinkling water. You will meet focus loss here, especially at the start. Acoustics are once again pretty good. Lighting is also okay, details are reasonable, and colors are okay. We also did a video capture with the E4 of a fountain, and this one is marginally better than the one of the E4. I'd say that overall this camera is about 20% better than the one of the Xperia E4, although theoretically the two handsets have a lot in common. It could be a bit better on the video capture part, but I have to highlight the very good acoustics of the video capture. As far as the phone calling goes, we got 4G LTE here, we got Wi-Fi and NFC in the connectivity area. You can reach 150 megapixel downloads. We got GPS, we got Bluetooth 4.1, and during phone calls we got good clarity of the sound, good quality, loud experience when calling people, and good signal. The web browser provided here is Chrome, and let's access our website, provided we can do that. By the way, this is the virtual keyboard. That's a bit cramped in my view. It's a bit cramped on this 4.7-inch diagonal. Back to the browser, as you can see, we got pretty good speed in Chrome, and it's a bit faster than on the Xperia E4 in my view. Once again, cramped keyboard by the small diagonal. As far as the software goes, this is Android 4.4.4. Like on the other model. Frankly speaking, for a device launched in April 2015, I was expecting Lollipop. We got virtual Android buttons, we got a custom Sony UI with a bunch of cute looking custom widgets, aside from the stock ones, and a bunch of custom wallpapers and other things like that. The Sony UI is colorful and flat at the same time, and has elements from the PlayStation experience. We got the usual Walkman, album and video applications with some elements in common. The apps feature tile-based interfaces, and I mean big tiles. Also a left side menu. This happens in Walkman, also happens in album, left side menu and transparency, and this is what also happens in video, big tiles and left side menu again, and once again transparency. Okay, we also have unique widgets and that PlayStation feel of the background UI. In the multitasking area, you can trigger those floating windows, basically mini versions of applications that will be placed on the screen at the same time for an improved multitasking with certain apps. The settings area looks quite nice. Many device makers have neglected to personalize this in a nice way. The icons here are pretty flat, minimalistic and nice looking. I have to say that the apps are neatly arranged. You can arrange them by your own order, alphabetical, most used, or only see those installed. Generally, it's best to keep your own order if you want that. Among the apps that are pre-installed here, we got Social Life, that's basically a Flipboard and Blink feed rival, and it's not bad looking, as you can see, based more on pictures than text. Obviously you can also read the text. We got Track ID, which is basically a Shazam precursor. We got Garmin for the navigation. We got Sketch for doodling and some picture editing, and AVG for your antivirus needs. There's also Office Suite if you're planning to do some productivity things. Overall, there's not much bloatware here, so that's good news. Okay, it's time for the verdict. The Sony Xperia E4 is clearly an upgrade. The Sony Xperia E4g is clearly an upgrade from the E4. It has a very appealing price of 129 euros. Those are the pros. It has a bright screen, good audio, nice texture. It gives you LTE connectivity on a budget price. It also has good benchmarks, great battery life, and a solid case. So those are the pros. Now let's get to the cons. The Sony Xperia E4g has long charging. Its video capture could be better, and seeing how it was launched in April 2015, I would expect it to have Lollipop, and somehow it doesn't. Also, the smaller diagonal may be a problem, so we put it in the cons section. Don't be mistaken, this is a very solid phone, and we're going to give it a 9.1 out of 10 for design, 9.5 for hardware, a very big grade for a low-end phone, and finally a 9 out of 10 for OS and UI. This handset gets from us a 9.2 out of 10. The Sony Xperia E4g is an E4 killer, a Lumia killer, and it's great for young people. Why? Because it offers 2 days of battery life that Sony promised, a great display, great acoustics, and great camera, plus you can use it for games and social networking via LTE if you want. It's probably the best low-end phone that Sony has ever made, and one of the best low-end phones we've ever tested here at gsndome.com. So hope you like this review. The Sony Xperia E4g is clearly an upgrade from the E4 and gets a 9.2 out of 10 from us. Bye bye.